Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Did you know you can support the channel by joining? Or join my Patreon? Something to think about. Now onto the stories. Case file number 957, written by Germsandlife. Disney World duplicated my son. My wife and I took our family on a trip to Disney World in Florida. Always wanted to go, but for one reason or another, we never had the time or money. Things can change for the better. We were having a great time, enjoying the rides and the sights. My son loved the new Star Wars Resistance experience. We were walking in between rides, heading over to the bathroom as my son and I really had to pee. My wife rarely needs to go, which I've always found suspicious. My 10-year-old son, who was standing next to my wife and I, suddenly cried out from the bathroom. We all heard it, including my son, who for sure had the most confused expression on his face from the lot of us. It was his voice, unmistakably so. I went inside the bathroom. It had 8 stalls, and I saw my son, who was outside, still with my wife, enter the stall at the far end, the last one, and close it. I saw his little Star Wars sneakers below the stall level. Before I went to the stall, I peeked back outside and my son was still there, being held tight by my wife. She shouted, "Who was it?" I didn't even know what to say. I held up my finger so as to indicate, "Give me a moment here." Went back inside the bathroom to the final stall and knocked. No answer. Did a quick look under. No one in that stall. Only one man, I presume, in the bathroom besides myself, who was in the first stall near to the door. That was my son. He cried out to us from the bathroom. Couldn't make out the words, garbled and brief. I saw him as I first came in. Not his full face, but his exact clothing, height, hair color, and of course his shoes. I have no words. I couldn't explain anything, especially now that there was no kid in the bathroom at all. It's not explainable by saying it was a kid that looked like my son because no one's here. I told my wife and kid it was nothing, just a man having a rough time. I did go in with my son at the same time after, since we still had to pee. I'll never forget this. Case notes are file 957. Disney World duplicated my son. So, as you can see, clean shaven again. Brought back the baby face. I was beginning to look like a wildling for a little bit, so I thought it was a good idea. So I've never been to Disney World myself, even growing up. I did live briefly in Florida, like a couple months with my parents. I don't even remember it, I was so young. I did hear about the Star Wars experience, which sounds pretty cool. Very immersive kind of ride. Wouldn't mind trying that at some point. Glad you enjoyed it with your family. Now for me, growing up, it was all La Ronde, which is the amusement park area in Montreal, Quebec. Pretty much the only one that you go to outside of water parks. It's a really cool place. I think given that you all heard your son, it's most likely that he was projecting his soul forward. I'm not sure it was a time slip anomaly, unless it was an alternate timeline, which may be in that case, because obviously your son didn't repeat the same events. But indeed my gut says, this is an astral projection. Most peculiar aspect to that, to me, is that you don't feel it. Even when it's happening in real time and you're conscious, your soul can fragment ahead and you don't even feel it. Case file number 958, written by, praised by son. Command the universe, it'll listen. I've always been a nervous person, and I've always found comfort in fidgeting with things. It helps me focus my silly, overactive brain. Not exactly to calm it down, but oriented towards what I wanted to do, without getting distracted or procrastinating. So a friend of mine made me a 3D printed fidget spinner a while ago. It's been my go-to fidget toy ever since. It's lasted a long time, years. I've grown attached to it. Sentimental value, not exactly, but it was thoughtful of him. So I was sitting at my desk at work, playing with my spinner, when it fell out of my hand and landed in my lap. I could feel the light touch of it on top of my thigh, but when I went to pick it up, it wasn't there. I looked all around my lap, under my chair, on the floor too. I felt that little tap as it hit my thigh, and I felt it stay there. It never fell off my leg. I have tried to find a replacement, but it's not the same. My friend made me a new one and it's alright, but it takes a while to break it in, if you know what I mean. I'm lucky to have such a great friend, let's get that straight. But I can't shake the feeling that something happened that truly wasn't supposed to have. Every single human being alive has dropped something and never found it again. That's ordinary. But not when it's touching you. If I had looked down, I'm convinced I would have seen it vanish off my thigh in real time. Case notes are file 958. Command the universe, and it'll listen. You know, I think you should just ask for it back, this fidget spinner. Even though your friend already made you a new one. Takes time to break it in, and I know what you mean. My friend also is making me fidget toys from his 3D printer. Not ones that spin, just ones you, fidget with. But yeah, if you command the universe to return lost items, it almost always works if it's something you really want back. If it's just a tennis ball, the universe doesn't give a damn. But if it's an important fidget spinner, maybe it'll work. It's almost like Janet in The Good Place, where it's like this universal butler that has infinite knowledge and abilities that can just manifest whatever is required. It's sort of like that. I don't know if it's an angel or a programmed entity that just has access to all of the processing power of the simulation. Case file number 959, written by Hubris Diminished 22, Two Mighty Atlases. I was living in Seattle, in a small apartment with my 3 cats, one of which was Atlas, a Bombay breed with dark black fur. He was my favorite. Shh, don't tell the others. I'd literally have dreams about him while he's resting on my chest at night. Months ago, my shift was over and I came home to find him missing. I searched everywhere, all of his usual hiding spots, above the fridge, under the couch, but honestly, he rarely hides, especially when I arrive home. My secret weapon, if one of my love balls can't be found, is to open a can of cat food. It never fails. They scurry out, practically yelling, "Feed me!" all the way. So I did that, but only 2 of my cats came out for the grub. Over the next few days, I posted flyers, asked my neighbors, and even contacted the local shelters, but there was no sign of them anywhere. I was offering a $500 reward too, and plenty of people contacted me. None of them had Atlas. Months went by. I had given up hope of ever seeing him again. Needless to say, I was devastated, and my other 2 cats seemed to miss him as well. Yesterday, I'm back home, about to walk up my doorstep, and he's there, sitting on the top step. I was almost crying to see him, but it's so freaky. There were 2 of him now, identical in every possible way, sitting there side by side. I thought I was hallucinating for a second. Same fur, same green eyes. Both Atlases were behaving in the same way, eating the same food, playing with the same toys the same way, and even cuddling with me in the same way on my chest. They're absolutely adorable together, but it's left me without any real answers. So Atlas somehow escaped the house, something he'd never want to do, then found a well-taken care of stray that's exactly like him. The only way I could tell them apart was the collar and tag I have on my big Atlas. There was no way to know who this one belonged to, if it wasn't a stray, so I kept him. There was no microchip either. I told the lady at the local Humane Society shelter that I found this possible stray. My Atlas was rescued from here, and provided a photo and my number too. If anyone comes looking for him, he's safe. But if this is the universe giving me a second lover boy, I'll take it. Case notes for file 959, Two Mighty Atlases. Yeah, when I was working at Humane Society Kennel down in Florida, it was 1920, you wouldn't believe how inhuman some people are in relation to pets. It's just monstrous. One of them just left a dog tethered to the tree in front of the kennel, didn't even come inside to bring him in. What is that? It sounds like you take great care of your pets though. Your Atlas and the other 2. So yeah, maybe the universe just said, okay, here, have another one. I think it's probably a ported event. The Atlas in a different universe came over to this one. Maybe not entirely though, because there's no collar on the second one. And in that universe, I'm assuming you would have collared him as well, just so you have some way to track him if he's lost. Some actual duplication event within the same universe without any other copy being taken from a different universe. Or maybe he was a stray in a different universe, but still obviously the same general characteristics. Wouldn't have been as well fed though. Wouldn't it be as big? You would notice a difference physically in that case. And with that, my notes are done. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, do check out my Patreon if you want. YouTube is being naughty again, which, I guess you have to expect at this point. But yeah, it's a good idea, wise of me to branch out my income streams, just to be safe. And yeah, I narrate a ton of horror stories over there if you like that kind of thing. Check it out.